Hey folks, this is Best in Slot. Welcome back to Prehistoric Planet, the brand new official trailer. If you haven't seen it already, it's up here on the channel. I'm sure it's on loads of official channels as well. In this video instead though, what we're going to do is we're going to go through it, we're going to analyse it, we're going to discuss it, we're going to react to it, we're going to gush very excitedly about it, I'm sure. I'm going to try to remain critical. If there's some things I think will look a little bit weird, I will try to comment on them, but generally speaking, I am to the nines incredibly excited about this. I'm really excited to discuss it with you today. I want to give a shout out to a couple of people, True Yi edited and Fang over on my Discord, who between us, with True Yi in particular doing a lot of legwork, we kind of put together a prospective species list for what we're about to see. A lot of it is speculative and there's going to be some hedges, some bets hedged, but generally speaking we've had a go at trying to name most of the things we're going to see in this trailer. Not all. There's some stuff that could well be new, as of yet, unnamed species that we're about to see during this. Yeah, either way. So if you do want to see it without me blathering over the top, of course go watch it, but I'm going to just talk to it. And I also want to give a shout out to about the 50 people who told me, wait, bear with me, who told me about this, the ability to edge through frames on YouTube, because that's going to be immensely helpful, as you can imagine.
There are many ways to
footprint.
Describe life on this planet.
I have nothing to say about the footprint. So this is actually probably my main criticism of what we're about to see, generally speaking, is that the surface aquatic effects aren't necessarily fantastic. It is worth mentioning that I don't really blame them for that. Water effects, water rendering, CGI water rendering is really, really expensive. It's super intensive. I remember I watched a video literally yesterday about the effects in, I think it was Shang-Chi, and they were talking about how the water effects were done, and the guy said, you know, water effects are incredibly difficult, and this was like Weta Workshops, etc. So it's very, very expensive stuff. I'm hoping, well, we're going to see later on, but the subaquatic, like the below the surface water effects tend to be a lot more impressive. It's just that subsurface effect that can look a little bit cheap. I said I was going to be critical. I'm going to try. I'm going to struggle. Okay, I mean, how can you be critical of that? Absolute stunner. We can get her in a slightly better light. There we go. Nope. I love this. So that's our Yang. Is it Yang? Yang? Quan? Quanjiao? Yang Chao? Quanjiaosaurus. I'm going with Quanjiao. It's definitely Jiao. I can't remember if it's Quan at the start. Quanjiaosaurus of lovely Tyrannosaurid. There's a lot of Tyrannosaurus knocking around, by the way. I think we've got at least 3 in this trailer. Love the patterning on here. Love that little bit, you know, we see this sort of dappled feathering effect going down the back there as it stalks through the forest. But this really showcases actually probably my favourite thing about this trailer we've seen so far. We can talk all day about how beautifully the dinosaurs are made, animated, spectacular animations, how good it all sounds and all this kind of jazz, the narration and all of that. But one thing that's really important about why Prehistoric Planet I think sticks out so much as well is not just the modern interpretations of dinosaurs, but that it's filmed in a modern nature documentary style, which a lot of these other ones don't really get right. And what that means is lots of cinematic shots, lots of work has been paid to how the camera moves and how the light works and all this kind of jazz, so that it feels like real dramatic, exciting shots. Kind of, you know, when you see modern nature documentaries and it's all, they tell a story via the camera essentially. Prehistoric Planet is clearly trying to sell that same idea, and it's something I think dino documentaries haven't really gotten right in a long time. So I'm really excited to see them take this slightly more cinematic approach. And there's a lot of work paid to scene composition as opposed to just what is contained within the scene itself. That all sounded very intelligent, and it wasn't. Right, very straight away after that, we have our lovely Hatzegopteryx, which is our ginormous Atstarchid from, how do you pronounce this? Hateg Island, which is, I believe, in a Romanian, it was a Romanian island. There's some suggestion that we're going to see quite a few species from Hateg Island, and that's going to be basis for some of the speculation in this video, but I'm really excited to see Atstarchids. I don't think we've ever seen Atstarchids done well in any form of media, basically, that I can remember. Not quite my favourite. I do stand Quetzalcoatlus, I will be honest, because I just think the name's cool, nothing else. But very, very excited to see an Atstarchid come to life. I'm very curious to see how they're going to move. Hopefully we'll be able to see it hunt. You know, these are gigantic pterosaurs that were largely terrestrial hunters. They would charge you down, much like a dinosaur would have. And I just think that is implicitly such an incredibly cool idea. I'm really excited to see that come to life.
Magnificent.
And what an absolute beauty she is. Look at that. The pterosaurs as well. I think the lighting effects on the pterosaurs and how they've been rendered is... she looks like a terrifying giant starfish, let's be honest. This looks like something out of... This is why I like Ants Darkest, though. It looks like something out of, like, Godzilla or something. It's one of those creatures that really sells the otherworldly nature of what our planet used to look like. To get all romantic on you, briefly. Is that actually the same... Am I crazy? Yeah, it's the same, yeah. So we're seeing some flight. It's really curious. There's still, I think, quite a lot of debate about how far Ants Darkest could fly. Some people suggested they were capable of like quite long-term flight. Maybe they preferred short jaunts to, you know, hunting grounds, nesting grounds, whatever, rather than doing long-term flight, just because of their sheer size more than anything else. But yeah, beautifully well rendered. That is our Velociraptorid, Velociraptorsoin. How do you pronounce it? Velociraptorine. It's a dromaeosaur of some description. I've heard that it's Velociraptor, and I've also heard it's not Velociraptor. I don't know where I'm leaning on this. I believe initially Darren Naish, who is one of the paleontologists involved with this, very talented writer, just bought a couple of his books actually, said it's Velociraptor, but maybe has backtracked on that a little bit. I still don't know. It could be, what's the suggestion we go? It could be Velociraptor, it could be Eidosaurus, for example. There's a couple of possibilities. Got to bear in mind when we're talking about species in this, it seems to be largely contained to the Maastrichtian. Is that how you pronounce it? Maastrichtian? Is it as long? It's a double A, so is it Maastrichtian? So many of these words I never hear out loud, I just read. Maastrichtian, which is basically right at the end of the Cretaceous. So that's, generally speaking, where the species, the speculative species, have been contained to. Either way, I want to point out, by the way, how wonderfully rendered this is going to make me sound a little bit like a fetishist, but that is a beautiful foot. The rendering quality on it is superb. It's staggering. It looks like a real foot. You could tell me if raptors of this regard, if a velociraptor existed, you could show me this foot. I'd be like, yeah, it's real. It's a foot. You know, it's really cool, and it's such a bizarre shape as well. It's so nice to see that sickle claw rendered in that bizarre way, and showcased in this almost eldritch formation that it actually had. Looks brilliant. There she is again.
Perhaps.
Our swimming Rex. I'm going to try not to comment too much about the stuff that we've already seen. So the Rex and the Raptor. I love the little babies though. You have to let me gush every now and again, you know. And again, I think above the water it looks a little bit funky. It's a very difficult thing to light and render effectively.
But only a few.
So this little guy has caused quite a little stir because he is babby, as we can see. So my first guess for this was Salmoxus, and it seems that's where everyone else has gone as well. Salmoxus is a little rabidontid, a little iguanodontid, and is absolutely agonizingly adorable. We're going to see them in slightly better shape in just... Well, not really, but... Let me go back again. I just want to... I don't really have much to say, it must be said. But, I swear, I've read some criticisms on how this looks, and I think it looks fantastic. Just using the depth of field in this way just, I think, gives it such a lifelike quality that maybe it would lack otherwise. Because at the end of the day, we're rendering extinct. It's hard to make these look like real creatures. Not only because does that require immense skill, but because they're creatures that are so alien to us in our modern day. You know, they don't exist anymore. So... I mean, they technically do via birds, but that's neither here nor there. Non-avian dinosaurs no longer exist. So rendering a creature we know is not alive and trying to make it seem alive actually does kind of play tricks with your brain a little bit. That uncanny valley is very, very difficult to push past. We have a Nodosaur here. Don't know what it is. It's definitely a small species of some description. I'm not sure which in particular. If anyone has any suggestions for this Nodosaurid, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. Man, it looks so good. So this is not the Tyrannosaurus Rex, this is probably our Taurosaurus. You can see our Velociraptor, we'll call it a Velociraptor for now, sneaking past, understandably. They're all having a good old snooze and we need to take a little break. I'm going to let the scene play out before I talk. Not that there's much to say that. So is that actually meant to be the eye of the Taurosaurus? Is the suggestion here that... Okay, I'm going to point out these look great again. Again, the depth of the field. They've got a weird slight tilt shift effect going on. They look tiny. They are tiny. I'm very curious what these Nodos... Oh, I'm quite a big fan of Nodosaurids as well. So this is again one of those shots. I don't think up close like this, it renders quite true to life for me. Again, it looks like a scene from Disney's Dinosaur. I think the poster from Disney's Dinosaur a little bit, but that there. Although I do love that you can see I don't know what this is called. I used to know, you know, this kind of sheath going across the eye as it opens up like that. You can see it there in detail. That's it. Yeah, fantastic level of detail, if nothing else. But yeah, I love this spotter pattern. These are our Toposauruses. We're probably off in, Mongolia here, so it does suggest, well, if it's Mongolia anyway, it does suggest it's Velociraptor mongoliensis. I just love that we're seeing them in so many different, you know, we're 35 seconds in the trailer, nothing has killed anything yet, which is actually really nice. It's so good to see them sleeping and doing family things and, you know, just trying to live how they would actually live rather than dinosaurs crushed, killed. There was a really stupid article by The Sun, I think it was, which is a terrible British newspaper, just an absolute rag of a magazine. And they were talking about the other dinosaur documentary, The Last Day of Dinosaurs, that Attenborough did recently, just like last week. And they said, oh, it's got a woke T-Rex in it because it doesn't go around murdering everyone. That's it. That was the only justification. We want death and destruction all the time, apparently.
Could be called all three.
Says our Toposauros. Experience a 5-night documentary event. So this is taking place every night, basically. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. This is interesting because this is an at Starkid we've got here. So I was talking again. Shout out to True Yi for helping me out on this. This is obviously it's quite small at Starkid. It's not the size of the Hatzegopteryx or Quetzalcoatlus. And apparently there's an unnamed at Starkid from Hornby Island, which, as I say, not been named, not been officially classified, blah, 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 but it's known to be smaller in size, which is what I was sort of getting at before, that there may be a few unnamed species popping up throughout this documentary. And hey, I'm open to suggestions. So cool seeing this many of them together. As Starkids, I always see as a very solo creature in some way, because they're so imposing in their size, and that slight, I don't want to say monstrosity, because I'm tired of dinosaurs being painted in a monstrous kind of way, Jurassic World, cough, cough, but, you know what I mean? That they are monstrous in size and in how much they impose upon you, and you don't tend to see that in a sort of group setting. Babies. Are they babies? Ah, this is blows me away. This bit. That's our Deinocheirus. Let's go back here. I just want to watch that again. That's so cool. First of all, just seeing that, this is probably not CGI. This is probably like a stick with some fur on it that they've dunked into a swamp, which is why we do it anyway. Ah, she's so beautiful. So yeah, Deinocheirus come to life, are incredibly bizarre dinosaur, to say the least. Really well rendered. You can see absolutely coated in these long, drooping, swamp thing-esque feathers. We've got the hump there at the back, very well known for that. And of course, if we look down, we'd have some weird gangly arms and long claws at the bottom as well. We've got that sort of long duckbill sort of snout, this lovely blue coloration here. The patterning and coloration on these dinosaurs is, generally speaking, fantastic across the board. And so is the animation. I just want to watch her eat. I'm discovering so many new fetishes in this video. You see there's a slight, almost like an ungulate a little bit in the movement of the jaw there. It starts off to the side and it comes in, you know, that you know what I mean? Not to the same scale of an ungulate, but it's definitely it was a little off kilter as it starts. You can see that. Look at where the bottom jaw is off to the side, and it comes in as it's chewing down this moss, algae, whatever you want to call it. Which is beautiful. I will say it doesn't look real per se. You know, this is not going to trick anyone that it's a real dinosaur, but it is beautiful all the same. I don't think it has to. I think people can get a little bit too hyped up about that kind of thing.
Explore the coastline.
So is this could be the island. Oh, that's probably not. Maybe it is though.
Where giants.
So this is our Titanosaur. The suggestion at the moment is this is Magyarosaurus, but again, we don't know for sure.
Rome.
So again, this is what I was talking about behavior-wise. One thing is really, really nice to see this kind of, you know, friendly behavior, playful behavior, mating behavior, whatever it happens to be in this case, this kind of necking that, you know, like a modern giraffe would do, is something that you just don't get to see so often in dinosaur media, and it's so cool to see it come to life like that. They are absolutely beautiful. The integration of the dinosaurs into these natural, real-world environments is impeccably done, in my opinion. Nothing too crazy or speculative going on, but they look happy. They're in their zone, hydrated, moisturized, having a good time. It's beautiful to see them as majestic creatures again. You know, it's something I feel I've really lacked in dinosaur media in a long time, is acknowledgement of dinosaurs, not just as ferocious and intimidating, but as beautiful and majestic and staggering and awe-inspiring and all these stupid romantic phrases I want to throw around. But it's true, that's how it feels, and it's so good to see that come to life again.
The desert
Bum.
where danger rules.
Beautiful. So we're back here to our... Yeah, I don't know what this is actually. We've got an Atstarchid or something. Atstarchid's all over the place. I suppose the late Cretaceous at this point. Atstarchid's all over the place. Don't know what the Atstarchid is. Feeding though, again, fantastic. Just mixing up those camera angles, giving us something new entirely.
Where danger.
Picking at, obviously we're essentially inside a carcass. You can see what looks a little bit like meat and bones to the in the corners here. And it's being picked at. Camera first view of these creatures. I'll get to you in a minute, Aloro. I don't know what it is. Not Hatzcopteryx. We don't really have a suggestion for this. Little tiny crest. Little baby crest. Anyways, we'll find out. So that is our Aloro Titan moving across this big volcanic seemingly ridge. You know, we're in this very arid environment. These dinosaurs are in this very arid environment. These dinosaurs are going to have to migrate fairly often, assumably to find food and to find water sources in particular, and that means crossing fairly dastardly terrain. Yeah, that's right, dastardly. I'm in an Acme comic. Fairly dastardly terrain, though. You can see them back there as well between all the... I wonder how much of this is CGI generated, actually. Let's just watch this out. Every scene is like 2 seconds long because it's, you know, a trailer, so it's hard to get too much from it. Ah! Baby! Yeah, I was just curious how much of the smoke is natural and how much of this entire scene could be CGI, the more I look at it. It's hard to tell. CGI's come so far in terms of terrain generation and that kind of thing. It's hard to know where it's blended with the real world and where it's CGI terrain altogether. Yeah, I love this single file. You know, we've got maybe the matriarch of the herd or whatever at the front over here. You can see very little in terms of dimorphism. No juveniles by the looks of things. You'd think they'd be sore in the middle, typically. But who knows how long this line goes back, really. You think you can kind of get glimpses of some stuff going on there at the back. But again, we're just seeing dinosaurs in habitats we don't see them in very regularly, doing things we don't see them do very regularly. And get to see her real close. I don't know why they're all female to me. That's Jurassic Park for you. She's a beaut. Have these just ascending spines up the back along this sort of little hump sail kind of thing, that very well known in the kind of axe head kind of shape that we've got going on there. Little bursts of colour in there. You can see this kind of like opalescent colouring in the actual crest itself, but nothing too over the top. And what I really like actually is at the front of the crest, you can see this sort of harder ridging as it descends down towards the beak, which is itself is just humongous and chunky. And look, no slit pupils to be seen anywhere. I have nothing against slit pupils, actually. But because dinosaur media is... I mean, you wouldn't expect it for this guy anyway, don't get me wrong. But no goat pupil either. Could have seen a goat pupil. People love a goat pupil. That sounds terrifying. People love a goat pupil. I have nothing against slit pupils in like the Velociraptor, for example. But because we see it in all dinosaur media, it's kind of nice to move away from it. Because we don't know at the end of the day. In reality, there's probably a mix of some description. Where are we up to on my list? Yeah, this is still the Aloro Titan. Much more colourful. It's a little baby hatchling. Can't help it. I'm very excited. Look, I'm very excited about this scene. I'm getting confused by my fingers. I'm very excited about this scene, but maybe they were going to the nesting grounds. Maybe that's where they were moving to. You know, animals often do that. You'll migrate at one time of the year to go to a specific place to lay your eggs, to nest your babies, and then you'll migrate away. Once again, I love this patterning we're seeing here, this kind of mottling, this ink spill sort of thing going on. Many, many more colours. You can kind of see a lot of that's faded between the baby and the adult, but you can see how the patterning is very similar, but it's more prominent on the child. We've got those greens and oranges and reds, and that's kind of faded away, but slightly prominent there in the crest. The crest itself not visible at all on the hatchling. It's just really not there, but the beak still has that same. So, to the tundra where we've got our herd of Pachyrhinosaurus being chased by Nodosaurus. How do you pronounce Nodosaurus? Yep. Yep.
And ice worlds where survival is everything.
Now, we've seen this before, so I don't want to talk about it for too long, but big fan of Nodosaurus, personally, our little feathered Arctic Tyrannosaurid, so very, very excited to see that come to life. Pachyrhinosaurus as well, I really, really like, and it's, again, it's got a fantastic, head shape, we've got that big nasal boss there, a little bit of quilling on the back, which is still speculative, but not something I personally mind. Again, I like a little bit of speculative additions in my dinosaur media. You know, I want to see crazy stuff. It doesn't matter if it doesn't all necessarily come true. Paleontology changes at such a vast speed. That doesn't make any sense. Paleontology changes so much that anything can seem outdated in no time at all. So you've got to have a little bit of fun with it. But I really like the patterning here as well. You can see it's got these dark greys and these snowy white sort of colours, which obviously is going to help it blend in with this environment. The Nanook looks super dark in coloration. I want to see it from the front. Here we have our other Titanosaur. I believe the suggestion for this is it's probably Dreadnoughtus. Don't know for sure quite yet. Could be Alamosaurus. I think Dreadnoughtus is, generally speaking, the consensus. I've heard a lot of different conversations about these air sacs kind of going on. People are leaning in many different directions. Personally, again, I like this kind of thing. But, yeah. Listen to the sound effect. This boom, 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 this big implosion of air occurring to puff up these. It is freaky looking stuff. Let's not pretend otherwise. It's very, very strange. But again, I love that kind of speculative thing. Whether this was real or not is another case of in point. But I think it's really well animated as well. You just see them one by one. Look at them. It's fantastically well done. The whole thing is beautifully animated and modeled. It really is. Bum, 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 bum. Man. They look so good. It's crazy. I can't get over it. These scenes like this, where they're full body, I think that's always going to be the case with dinosaur documentaries for 10, 20 more years at least. It might be how long we have to wait for the next good one. They're always going to look better pulled away, you know, from like a full body perspective, because you don't have to have the details in there quite as much, and you're less likely to cross into the uncanny valley. That said, I think this Dreadnoughtus, we'll call it Dreadnoughtus for now, looks really nice up close. The detailing on the head here, so you see how the skin's kind of mottled. There's like what looks like little cuts in there. There's little indents. It looks lived in, basically, if that makes sense. And there, they just look beautiful. There's so many of them together. Some sleeping. These two sort of squaring up to it. It's kind of like at the school, you know, where, you know, the two kids start to fight and everyone gathers around to watch. Yeah, I mean, we're only getting tiny little glimpses of this, but that is a full-on bite. It's not even what is usually associated, I think, with... Look at them all watching. It's amazing. This is such... Even though they're fighting, which I said, you know, I was excited for non-aggressive behaviour in the dinosaurs. Still, we won't see some aggressive behaviour, especially when it's, you know, between herbivores, for example. But seeing all of them around it look up and be fascinated by this social display is really cool. Maybe they're fighting for, you know, for a mate or for control of the herd or whatever it is. But I think a lot of people, when you think of sauropods fighting, you'd assume they'd fight how... And stop it. You think they'd fight how a giraffe would fight, and typically it's a lot of, you know, neck whipping, essentially. The fact that, you know, they're on their haunches, arms up, essentially, kind of wrestling each other like that, or using it for stability, more likely. But then actually not necking, but going in for an actual bite is fascinating to me. I love this one on the left. That's my favourite one. Not even really one, just going, Mom! They're fighting again. Look at that. Bam. See a little blood there, yeah? So, next up we have our Alaskan Edmontosaurus. It looks like a baby.
Join us for the...
This is a weird scene to me as well. I don't know how much of this is like final shot. That to me looks... Am I crazy? Again, I'm trying not to criticize too much because I'm not having to try not to criticize because I'm incredibly excited and there's so little to criticize. I think everything here is so beautiful and exciting. This shot to me looks quite low quality, however, I would say, in comparison to a lot of the others. There's something about... It might just because it's YouTube rendering, etc., etc. You know, it's only so much... Well, YouTube's processing is a goddamn nightmare, trust me, I know. But the shot looks blurry, low quality. They don't quite fit in. This wouldn't look out of place like 10 years ago, so to me, which is interesting. I really like the baby, though. I always like the baby. Interesting patterning once again. Again, nice to get this mix of variety of patterns and colours without ever, I think, so far going too far over the top. Everything's very modern paleo-noir in terms of style, you know what I mean. Anyways, Edmontosaurus, which is a fantastic dinosaur. No crest either.
Join us.
I can't remember the difference between that. Regardless, what was it that it did have a crest and it recently decided that it didn't have a crest in the first place?
For the story.
So, these are our elasmosaurs. No idea what these are, really. People much more intelligent than myself in this regard. You know, I know my... What do I know? I know something. People who know elasmosaurids and plesiosaurids, etc. have said this isn't Nyxosaurus. That's the only one they've said it's probably not, but I don't know what it could be. But again, this is what I mean. The underwater shots, much more effective.
For the story.
And again, seeing a juvenile... How often do you see a juvenile elasmosaurid or plesiosaurid or whatever we're dealing with? You know, I mean, elasmosaur, plesiosaurid, you know what I mean. You just don't. You don't. I feel like, especially with aquatics, they're often portrayed as just... It's always these silent hunters and it's always stalking in the darkness, and they're very, very rarely portrayed as a family unit. I can't remember when they ever were. Did Walking with Dinosaurs, the aquatic one, Walking with Beasts, did we do it? I don't know.
You've never heard.
So there's our Salmoxus again. This is why I deeply love small iguanodontids and always have done. The little hench arms. It's my favourite thing about them, just walking around like that all the time. Like, proper look like they're just constantly ready to pick a fight, you know. This guy has a teeny tiny head. I'm assuming these are juveniles or hatchlings or something. I love that little fly in the background. That's on purpose. They are tiny. And Salmoxus is a small dinosaur, but it's not that small. Unless this is a gigantic tree branch. But compared to the size of the ferns nearby and stuff like that, I've got to assume these are hatchlings, right? Because Salmoxus is... I don't know, like, I don't know the official height, but in my head, like 2 feet tall, something like that. Maybe 1.5 feet tall, around there. Definitely larger than this. And since I'm pretty sure this is Salmoxus, I love it so much. I think these are hatchlings, which might explain their slightly chubby nature in particular. It's not my, I don't know what my excuse is, but I love them so much. And again, the animation work on them is sublime. Just look at that. I'm just watching to see their foot move. I love the little things like that. And the whole body shakes and moves, and you see the tail rippling in response. Anyways, got our Rexes. I'm going to let the scene play out and then we'll come back. Man! So, interesting thing here, first of all, that this Rex here is quite visibly scarred on the right thigh. Big gores into there. Kind of looks like a claw mark. Could be anything, really. It's probably not from a result of the... We're going to see a Triceratops in a little bit. It doesn't look like it's a result of the Triceratops, given... It's very clearly a slash, right? So are we going to see a T-Rex fight something similar to that? Is it caught in something else? Are we going to see what causes that in the first place? It's clearly fresh as well. You know, the meat is pink and supple, which means it's fresh meat. Oh, but ignoring that, this is a beautiful little scene. It really is. First of all, I love Chubby Rex. Chubby Rex is absolutely incredible looking to me. This is my favourite depiction of Rex. Puts a paleo media full stop, I think. And again, seeing a dinosaur that is so often portrayed as a ferocious... I mean, don't get me wrong. T-Rex, gigantic, apex predator, destroys anything it wants to destroy. But, you know, they would have had familial connections and love in dinosaur terms, and they'd play and they'd nuzzle and all this kind of stuff. And seeing that in a dinosaur that's so often relegated to like a villainous role in all media, really, or a hero role in some media, is really, really refreshing. I can watch this scene over and over again. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I love the differentiate, to see variety in colour and sort of shade and texture we've got going on here along the back of the Rex as well. And this one just looks like a tube because of the angle going down like that. Ah, they're beautiful. This little nuzzle animation is adorable. Lifelike, but right where it should be. It looks like the eye colour is slightly different as well, which is an interesting possible gender dimorphism going on there. This is kind of what I mean, but again, this is worth noting. So this looks a bit shoddy, but you can see how low quality it is. It's demonstrably lower quality than everything else. That is YouTube's processing. Anytime there's like something with a lot of movement going on at once, YouTube goes to absolute hell, basically. If you ever play a video game with a lot of like moving foliage, like an Assassin's Creed or a Horizon, blah, 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 whenever a character runs through foliage, the quality drops demonstrably. And that's what's going on here, basically. So it's hard to judge this too much until we see it not on YouTube.
On a scale.
Carnotaurus looking superb. Maybe my favourite new rendition in the entire show, actually, this Carnotaurus. I'm going to let this play out because it's not this bit that's the exciting bit, it's in a second. Although it does look beautiful there. It's this bit though.
On a scale you've never witnessed.
I love it so much. Oh, it's amazing. It really is.
You've never witnessed.
How is that not the best thing you've ever seen? Oh, it makes me so happy. And it should be funny. There should be moments of humour and stuff like that. There's no reason there shouldn't be. Really interesting. The colour differentiation between these two Carnos is extreme. You know, this one does browns and sort of those warmer tones, and this one, which is clearly this one here, staring us down. Those bizarre horns, those tiny little eyes, arms. Very, very, very prominent colour differentiation there. I assume this is... I don't know what this is meant to be. I should have checked, actually, to see what people say. I don't know if this is a mating ritual or a threat display. Given the strong colour differentiation, I'm assuming female, male on the left, and the male is trying to show off, basically. If we're going to attribute this to similar to modern dinosaurs, avian dinosaurs, then the males tend to be more brightly coloured, and they're the ones doing the displays to attract a mate, which is very much, you know, we've got the display and we've got the brightly coloured arms. So maybe that's what's going on here. Don't know, do we have a list for what these are? I don't know what these are. It's a mosasaur of some description. Could be Mosasaurus, I suppose. Don't know. But again, I'm seeing these underwater scenes looking... It's hard to get too much from this. It's very quick. It looks like a fight between the two. Drug down to the ground. You actually get a really nice glimpse of some different colours again here. I don't think that's blood. We're seeing some, you know, some reds there and some stripes of blue. Maybe it is blood. It's hard to say too much about this. But again, it doesn't. No, I don't think it's blood. I think it's a line of coloration down the back. You can get a nice feel for what it looks like there. It definitely looks. It's definitely a mosasaur of some description, right? Then we see our Velociraptors again. Again, just different behaviours here. Again, we've got some different colour differentiation going on here. We've got the sort of eagle grey one up the front, but these two are sandier in colour. And again, maybe we're seeing a male here leading the pack. It could be even the other way around. It could be the matriarch leading the pack here. I just like seeing them again in this kind of environment, looking over an environment, exploring. There's a story to be told about these raptors. We don't know what it is yet. They're sneaking past Taubosaurus. They're exploring these gigantic waterfalls. You know, what are they searching for? Are they searching for hunting grounds? Are they searching for a nesting area? Who's our little baby? Masiacosaurus, maybe? Baby Masiacosaurus? Let me just watch this entirely. This scene made me very happy. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Okay. So that actually looks... This is, maybe in terms of realism, one of the better rendered things in the entire thing. I say water effects are difficult, but they smashed it here. So this is Beelzebuffo, our gigantic frog, essentially. Gigantic toad. And you see it's kind of like a trapdoor spider here, where it's lurking at the edge of the water there. You can see this little pond, muddy pond in the water there. Our little baby dinosaur wanders past, and then... And the way it wraps the tongue around is really interesting. It doesn't... The tongue kind of comes over, and using the musculature of the tongue, you remember the tongue is a muscle at the end of the day, it kind of wraps over the top and then pulls it backwards into its gaping maw. I'm really excited to see non-dinosaur creatures as well. Obviously, we've seen the Atstarchids, but seeing other terrestrial non-dinosaur creatures is really interesting. Maybe we could see, you know, if we're in the Maastrichtium, maybe we're going to see the start of the mammals and stuff start to pop up as well. These little teeth. This guy is fantastically rendered. It really is. I guess it's easier to an extent because toads are still knocking around, but still. Who is this? Don't know. We only see it for... It doesn't pop up again, does it? This. No idea what this is. Wish I could help you. It's a Dromaeosaur or a Troodontid or something. I don't know what it is. Seems to be in a really interesting... You see, if you look in the eye there, this kind of spark goes past. It seems to be in a fiery environment. I would assume, given the lighting going on here, it's looking at cinders, it's looking at flames. Could the final episode observe the end of the dinosaurs as we know them? Are we going to see the KT Extinction event? Is that what's going on here? I do love the full body feathering there. You can see it's splaying round at the back as well. Yeah, I think this is going to be a beautiful dinosaur when we see it in full force. There's our Quanjiao? Hunting our Cristosauruses, if I believe. We already kind of talked about this in the last video. Triceratops. Wait, is there a baby? Ah! My heart can't take it. That is the cutest thing in the world. Okay, so for me this is very exciting. Triceratops was always my favourite dinosaur as a child because I was not a particularly exciting child and I loved the Triceratops scene in Jurassic Park. So Triceratops was always my favourite dinosaur. This is probably Triceratops horridus instead of Pterosaur, however you pronounce that. I mean, the baby though is so right. Let's I want to spend a little time with the trike. I have heard from people, I've heard a lot of opinions about this show from very, very talented paleo people who go back and forth on some of their renditions, but the people I've spoke to who know about ceratopsids have been largely, at least, yeah, have been largely really, really impressed with the ceratopsian renditions, generally speaking. And I think they look beautiful here. Again, the patterning is fantastic. The crest looks absolutely beautiful as well. Can't see too much, of course, going on here, but there... I can't. It's too cute. I don't know what to say about it. It's actually adorable. Baby Triceratopses. Baby Ceratopsids. They're weird creatures. If any of you have played Saurian or seen any of the artwork of Saurian, which is beautiful renditions of a lot of the creatures, the baby Triceratops looks like a demonic gremlin. I'm not saying it's inaccurate or anything, but it does look like a little demonic gremlin. And this is much easier to stomach. Oh, it's actually I can't say anything critical or anything. It's just I'm in love. It's my favorite part of the whole thing right here. It's so lifelike. It's so curious about the world, you know. You can see it that wide range. They've got the same striped pattern along the back. That the parents have this big, beautiful orange crest. The parents had slightly duller crests. Maybe that's something that's going to fade out over time. Again, maybe some dimorphism. Even spots of purple down there between the horns, which are really interesting. Just such a variety of texture and colour going on. Rounds the corner. It's just curious about the world. It's exploring. You can see the mama in the background. Back to our Pachyrhinos. Doing a little headbutt, because you would, right? You got this big ass boss on your head. You'd headbutt each other. Why not? I would. So this is our Nyctosaurid. Is that how you say it? Would it be a sword? Yeah, it would be a sword. It's not Nyctosaurus itself, as far as we're aware. I'm just gonna read here what True Yi said. He's a good egg. He helped me out a lot. Not Nyctosaurus, as it has a different shaped crest, which it does. Nyctosaurus is more like that, right? It's more like a right angle rather than this kind of jutting out like this. It's out of the time frame of the documentary, so I believe the suggestion is that Nyctosaurus would be earlier, generally speaking, than the time frame covered by this documentary. Could be a Baridactylus, which we think on Nyctosaurid. We don't know exact crest shape, so the doc could take some liberty. We'll have to wait and see on this. But looks fantastic again. Again, I think the pterosaurs have come out of this looking really, really cool. So this is... Okay, do I have to go back? Okay, I'll go back. So we only see the scene very, very briefly. This is an interesting one. So I didn't really have any great ideas about this. So again, I'm going to divert over to my good friend, Tree. So here we've got Hadrosaur here. We've got a Titanosaur in the background. And we've got an Alvarezsaurid, by the looks of it, here in the foreground. And the suggestion, I believe, is that this is probably, or potentially, let's say, this is speculation. Worth emphasizing that. This is all speculation. That this would be Bosboldia. This would be Nemet, yeah? Bosboldia, Nemetosaurus, and potentially Mononychus. There's a couple of other possibilities to attribute for all 3 dinosaurs we're seeing here. It could also be Nemetonicus? Is that it? Nemetonicus. This is the Nemet formation. If it is the Nemet formation, I should say. And that's a way to accommodate all 3 different dinosaurs we're seeing here within one formation. Basically, Bosboldia, Nemetosaurus, Nemetonicus. Yeah? Yeah, okay, got that. Phew. Yeah, which my Nemet formation knowledge was a bit lacking. I knew of Bosboldia. I'd never heard of and I knew Mononicus, but I didn't know of Nemetonicus. I think my Nicus knowledge was basically limited to Mononicus before today. But we'll have to wait and see. This is things we don't really know for sure. You know, we have to wait. But it's interesting. It's a beautiful rendition of whatever it is, but it's very blurry. And then
Unknown, unexplained, unbelievable, until now.
you tell him, David. No release date in your trailer? That seems very stupid. Why have you done that? Oh, that's my video. Sorry. I don't remember the release date, so I'm sorry. Why would you not put the release date in your trailer? Anyways, T-Rex with Triceratops to finish things off. I don't know how long this video's been going on for, but I feel like it's been a long time. Triceratops and T-Rex. The interesting thing about this, of course, the Triceratops is dead. Sure. My poor baby. T-Rex looking a little more intimidating here. It's been memed a little bit in the past. A few people have been calling the T-Rex Hank because it's a dad and it just looks like a big middle-aged dad bod dad, basically. Here it looks much more intimidating, of course. But the interesting thing is, I've had quite a few people point this out to me. There's no blood anywhere on the mouth of the Rex. There's no blood here at all. There's no signs of battle. So is the suggestion, are we going back to seeing some scavenger behaviour from the T-Rex? Now, I don't think anyone's trying to suggest that the T-Rex was near exclusively a scavenger. I don't know if we're going back down that track yet again. But, you know, any logical carnivore is going to be a scavenger in some capacity. So maybe that's what we're seeing in the scene rather than the T-Rex actively taking down the Triceratops. What's it roaring at here? Have the herd come back to try to defend their fallen comrade? Is it defending its kill, inverted commas, from another Tyrannosaurus Rex? Who knows? Yeah, much more threatening here, Jesus. I have something else to say, but I don't remember for the life of me what it was. Which is very exciting. Right, well, that was a 2-minute trailer. I think I've been talking for about half an hour. Don't know how long it's been, but I know in my heart it's been a long time. There's a lot to talk about. Lots of fantastic dinosaurs, lots of fantastic shots, lots of fantastic compositions. You know, I can't wait to get a little bit more. I want to see hints of what the stories are going to be. I want to know what some of these species are going to be. And I can't wait for all 5 episodes. And hopefully lots of people watch it and we can get season 2, which would be really cool. Reminder, Apple TV, even if you don't... Okay, first of all, I've had so many comments about this. You do not need an Apple device to watch Apple TV, okay? It's like Netflix. It's just a streaming service. They do a 7-day free trial. So if you wait until the day before Prehistoric Planet comes out and then sign up for the trial, you'll be able to watch the whole thing. Because as far as I know, the idea is to have 1 episode a day for 5 days straight. So you'll be able to cover all 5 days with your 7-day trial. Done. Either way, very, very excited. Comment down below, let me know your suggestions, your thoughts. You know, what's your favourite part of this trailer? What's your favourite dinosaur? What's your favourite prehistoric creature, I should say, we've seen in this trailer? Are there any species suggestions you've got at all? Stuff like that. Bear in mind, late Cretaceous only seems to be the general idea. Let me know what you think. Apologies if this video has been super, super long, but I'm very, very excited about this. My only criticisms really were the water effects, and that's a very difficult thing to get right, so I don't blame them at all. I think it's beautifully animated. I think it looks visually stunning. I think it sounds amazing. Actually, the roar, that's what I want to talk about, the roar for the Rex, right? Because it is a roar. It's not like a full-on Jurassic Park roar. But it's a roar, it's a grumble, it's a growl. And there's been a lot of suggestion. I saw when this trailer was posted, some people, well, is that actually how the Rex sounded? Because obviously, people know that dinosaurs didn't really roar in the way that dinosaurs roar in films, right? We know that. But I believe, I believe Naish himself hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right, I'm going to feel bad if I'm not, responded to someone saying that they based it on how a crocodile, like crocodile vocalizations. And someone posted a video in response to that showing a crocodile doing a growl. And it sounded very, very similar to this. So it's well within the realms of possibility that a large theropod would have been capable of making a noise just like this. That's the last thing I want to say. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you lovely folks very, very soon. If we see anything else on Prehistoric Planet, of course, we'll talk about it right here on the channel. If not, we'll be back when it actually comes out. I'm either going to do a watch party or a episode-by-episode breakdown, or both, or I don't really know at this point in time, but we'll see when it happens. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks very soon. Cheers, much love, as always. Bye-bye.
Reaching out.